I wanted to have a two-part series specifically focused on biases. The first part, I want to spend a little time today on what I call biases that hold salespeople back. And possibly in the next one, we will talk about biases that buyers or customers showcase. There are three biases that we will cover today. The first bias that holds salespeople back is what I call as the conformity bias. The conformity bias shows up by salespeople wanting to be who they are, but not changing to be along, if not ahead of the change. The way to beat the conformity bias is to build a growth mindset, a learning mindset, making learning as a daily habit where you spend about 60 to 90 minutes learning something new, which could be either new knowledge, new skills, or specifically some behaviors as well. The second bias that holds salespeople back is primarily around optimism bias. An optimism bias shows up in a lot when it comes to customer engagement, predominantly around opportunity management, showing up more as hope casting rather than forecasting. That inherent optimism to believe whatever is being spoken by the customer, the inherent optimism to believe everything will work well for you, the inherent optimism to believe that everything will fructify into revenue is something that you will have to overcome through what I call black hat thinking. So when you look to risks, when you avoid risks, that is when you're able to consciously beat the optimism bias. The third bias that holds salespeople back is what I call the planning bias. And this comes about where a lot of salespeople are living and managing the present, not necessarily planning and ensuring that you're able to secure the future. This shows up in a number of different ways. The first way it shows up is primarily an account plan that is only focused on the fiscal. It is not a roadmap that is signed off with the customer. The second thing that shows up is predominantly a lack of planning on the calendar, where it is mostly living for the week rather than focusing for the next couple of quarters. So, when you think about salespeople wanting to move from good to great to world class, what is required at a very foundational level is your ability to beat these three biases. Getting over the conformity bias, getting over the optimism bias, and overcoming the planning bias. I'm confident now that I've raised your awareness to the biases that hold good people back. You are now able to utilize this increased awareness, exercise better choices, take the necessary actions, build better habits, and that will guarantee you greater results. I wanted to spend a little time talking to you about some of these biases or lenses that customers come across with and how each one of you needs to handle those. The first kind of bias or lens that you will see in sales that customers exhibit is what I call the discounting bias. And the discounting bias comes through where your customer is looking at you saying, here is a salesperson, correct? They tend to talk this way, and therefore let's discount what they are saying, keep them at arm's length, and perhaps superficially absorb what they're saying. If your intuition tells you that your customer is discounting or being judgmental, that is when you will have to take a pause. Make sure that your intent is aligned to the customer success, and make sure that you showcase and articulate your intent about making your stakeholder and your customer that much more successful. So when you sense it, say it. When you feel it, say it. Don't just ramble on and lose the plot with the customer because they are used to having what they call sales people bullshit alarm. That goes off immediately when they hear it from the salesperson. So make sure that when you sense discounting, stop and solve for it. The second kind of bias that you will normally see is this know-it-all customer. We have been there, we have done that, we know everything. Who are you to tell me anything, right? And this is a good thing. It also showcases some element of confidence in themselves, which is where what salespeople need to do is to stop focusing on what is already known for the customer, but start planning to talk about what is unknown for the customer. What is it that they are missing out? What are their blind spots? What are they not aware of? Is something that salespeople need to prepare consciously. These are what we call insights that helps the customer think differently and therefore build a modicum of respect and build some level of connection with you, because what you are talking about is something that they don't know and is materially valuable to them personally and to the organization as well. The third level of bias you will constantly face with customers is what we call sunken cost fallacy. They already have this person or organization they are working with. They have been engaged with them for a while. Maybe it is your competitor, but the fact is, because they have invested, they feel that they need to continue. This is where, as a salesperson, you have to meet the customer where they are before you take them to where you want them to go. So resonate with their beliefs, with their assumptions, and then start thinking about what is it that they expect from their current vendor or provider that they are not getting right now. One of the questions that I normally ask is, hey, what does your CEO expect from you that your current provider is unable to provide? How does this provider help you accelerate towards your vision? Questions that helps them reframe, rethink, and reevaluate how you engage with you. So the next time that you meet customers, look out for these telltale signs. Are they looking at you with skepticism or suspicion? Are they exhibiting this know-it-all attitude or some level of complacency? Are they showcasing what I call sunken cost fallacy? In all of these, it is your responsibility as a salesperson to increase your awareness, listen to your intuition, and consciously exercise choice for you to address these situations. Good luck as you increase awareness, reframe options, and become even more successful. Good luck.